I'm roasting a rabbit over a campfire, and to do that I need to make a spit. A spit is basically a very long skewer that holds the meat in place as you roast it. So I've come to this coyote willow grove on this riverbank to find the pieces that I need. If you want to see how I butchered this rabbit, check out the previous video. You can get to it by clicking the icon on the top right corner of the screen.
With that rabbit butchered, we're going to take those sticks we gathered up earlier and make our spit for roasting it. I really love just slow roasting it over some coals with a lot of smoke, and it doesn't even need seasoning. You can add salt and pepper if you want. In fact, you can even soak the rabbit in a brine of salt water overnight if you want it to be extra tender. But I don't do any of that. Usually I just use smoke as the seasoning. So you need some sort of straight branch that is dry. It needs to be dried already. If it's green, it's going to warp with the heat and the rabbit's going to sag down and burn. So this is dry willow that all the bark was stripped off. I'm gonna leave this as long as I can because this is a big fire pit and I want to be able to put a log on either side to rotate this on. That's a good length. Now for the side pieces, we can actually use flexible green if you want. That's more available. So here's just a couple pieces of willow. And I'll sharpen these nice and sharp to pierce through that meat. I'm going to carve a little notch like a log cabin in the middle here. That way it seats onto the center of the spit nicely. Just like that. Just a little notch so it can fit on like a cross. Carve one more of the same length. Now the fun part, because if you use paracord for this, it's going to melt. So we're going to use willow bark to tie this all together. Got a nice long, mostly on branching willow rod here. In May, June, and part of July, the bark peels really nicely. That's because it's full of sap, but then the sap flow decreases later on, and then it doesn't peel nicely anymore. So what I've done here is I've taken the tip of my knife, and I've put a cut, just like this, all the way down the length of the willow. Now, it's going to be very peelable. Doesn't matter which side you start on. As long as it's fresh and green and not dried at all, then you can get it started pretty easily. Sometimes just with your fingernails, other times you need a knife to get it started. There we go. Anywhere there's a knot, you gotta pay close attention to, because it'll try and rip there. As you can see, it peels like a banana right now. It's the only time of year it'll peel like that. I've got two peels going right now, and I'm gonna try and pull them at the same time, because that keeps them from tapering out. Well, sometimes. That one tapered out. That'll still be a useful tie. This is a wonderful source of lashing material that not a lot of people even know about. You can even make baskets from this peeled willow. Just stripping it down, so I have a few different thin, flexible lengths that I can do my ties with. With these willow ties now ready, we're gonna skewer the rabbit. I'm going to run this stick through the rabbit, through the chest cavity, and out the neck. There we go. I'll flip it upside down. We'll do our ties. First, I'm going to skewer into the leg. Just like this. Through the outside into the inside at the right angle so that leg hangs open. Try and match that angle on the other side too. Just like this. This works for any mammal, really. Anything with four legs, you can skewer open like this. Through the chest cavity, just like this. Pops through the ribs and out that other arm. Spread that open just like that. Now I just need to tie it all together. It's ready to go. Take a tie like this halfway through. I like to pass those ends over the skewer under the main spit on both sides, just like that. Give it a nice long pull because it will slowly tighten as it stretches. Pass it under the same way the underside here. Give it a nice pull. One more wrap and you can just tie it off. One tie, nice and secure. And actually, sometimes I forget, you gotta open up the chest. Just like that. Those ribs are really soft and they open up easy. We're doing the exact same right over here, which of course can be a little tricky maneuvering in there. Dealing with meat is always just a dirty process. Just rinse off afterwards. Everything will be fine. Especially meat this fresh, there's very low risk of disease working with this. So I'm comfortable just rinsing. If you can sanitize, sanitize. There we go. There's our rabbit spit all ready to go. We'll get those organ meats skewered up too, and they'll cook really fast, but we're gonna give this rabbit about an hour over the hot coals. You can see just how much meat that is. That's way more than what I can eat in a single sitting, so this is something you cook up with some friends. There you go. That's kind of a lot of heat right now, so I'm gonna spread those coals out.
That's unfortunate.
Much to do some more coal.
All right, it's gonna need a little more time, but we're gonna rotate this now. And the way you rotate this is to actually rotate this part, because the spit is angled downwards. The weight wants to pull it downwards, kind of like a bow. It's angled like a bow. And naturally, the bottom part of the bow hangs down. So you want to use that to your advantage. That's why I rotated the ties themselves on these skewers rather than just flipping the spit, because the spit wants to hang this way. It's hard to gauge temperature over hot coals like this, so to ballpark estimate how hot I want, generally I go by feel. If I can hold my hands about this high over the coals for 5 seconds and not much longer than that before it feels too hot, that's the temperature I want for this slow roasting. If it's too hot, I'll scrape some coals away, and if it's too cool, I'll push some coals closer towards the rabbit. You can see we're getting nice and caramel brown on top. That's what we're going for. So I'll cut into the thickest parts now, which will be the back strap, the back leg, and just make sure it's cooked all the way through. Looks like we're cooked through. It's nice and moist on the inside. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Perfectly cooked through. It's tender too. Could be just a little more tender, and that can be achieved by giving it a little bit longer on the fire. You can see it has this caramel skin that developed, and that actually helps lock in moisture when you roast over coals like this.
A rabbit this size provides a substantial amount of meat, and historically people would actually travel with live rabbits ready to butcher at a moment's notice. This ensured that the meat was always fresh. I shared this rabbit with students and instructors around the gathering. It was a big hit. Let me know in the comments if you've ever roasted rabbit or other meats this way.